having a beautiful just day here in rural Ohio. Well, I'm so glad to see all of you. I thank you for coming, and I know we'll see a few of you live. And for those of you who can't make it live, thank you for leaving your comments below, your thumbs up. Thank you. And for those who can make it live, thank you so much for your comments while we are here. For those of you who are unfamiliar with our weekly videos, we get answers from my spirit guide, Phillip, who gives answers to the questions that you ask. Now, if you have private questions about your life, please contact me privately. You can do so below. You can email me through my website. You can just pick up the phone and call if you want, and we will get you scheduled for a private session. But these questions are of a nature that everybody would want to know an answer to, or most of us, maybe not everyone, but those who listen to this channel want to know the answers to. We also get our weekly message from one of Philip's books, and we just open to any page. And as many of you know, it's an oracle book with different wisdoms on every page. Hello, Wendy. Good to see you. Glad you could make it today. So our question this week is kind of a question I think on a lot of people's mind. It's so much of life is hard and painful. So why are we here? What's life all about? Well, we're going to answer that question for you. And again, some of you may already know the answer. You know, many times your questions come and I think, oh, I know the answer to that. And then Philip always surprises me with adding a little something to it. So here we go. Wendy, we're glad you're live with us. And hopefully a few more will be able to join us as well. But again, our question is, so much of life is hard and painful. So why are we here? What's life all about? Philip says, to understand life, one must first understand who they are. Well, that makes sense, doesn't it? This can first be understood intellectually, but to fully understand, you must have the experience. You have often heard us say, you are humans having an experience in the third dimension. You are also spiritual beings merely expressing as humans at this time. As spiritual beings, you always were and always will be, for you are a part of the one with a capital O that is all that is. So what Philip is saying there is we're spiritual beings having a human experience. And as the humans, we're in a third dimensional world, but we're also part of everything. In spirit world, we are part of the God, the one, the everything. Goes on to say, as humans, the mind you allow yourself to experience with is limited. This is necessary for the human. Too much information causes what humans call insanity if the human is not ready to receive or able to cope with the information. The world of knowledge opens as the human is ready to receive. To pry open is unwise. To open to higher consciousness begins with desire. Then the study tools will appear. These tools may be in the form of human or spirit teachers, books of wisdom, nature, programs, dreams, and other natural forms of learning. Often students may simply have a knowing they are part of something much greater. This is the opening to understand you are part of the oneness. You are spirit having the human experience. Again, we repeat all that we say today will first be grasped on an intellectual level by most before it is felt at a visceral level. There are those who first have an experience and then seek out answers. If this is natural, all is well, but is not to be pushed or rushed. Philip is really trying to get through to us. Don't try to make it happen. Study, be open to it, invite the experiences, but don't get involved with pushing it, because that's not good for the human mind, is what he's saying. Human evolution unfolds naturally, allowing the human mind and body the ability to absorb in a safe and healthy manner. Once you understand you are a spirit being having a human experience, you are then able to grasp that you are creating your life from two sources, from spirit and from the human plane. While in spirit, you made decisions about that which you wanted to experience in your human life. You did not create specific details, but general parameters. For example, you may have agreed to have children and made agreements with other spirit beings to be their parent, but you did not decide their gender. Or, another example, you may have said you wanted to heal a human issue such as abandonment, but but you do not commit to how this will be dealt with. Certainly, as a human, you want to believe that you would not agree to a life of pain or hardship, but this is not true. In spirit world, there is not the judgment as there is in human world. You know, I often say we forgot to read the small print before we came in to this human world. Yeah. hmm Philip goes on to say, it is this judgment that deems an incident hard or painful. Your judgment can be reevaluated at any time. You may call judgment attitude if you choose, but that is broad based and comes out of living with judgment. Couldn't quite read my own writing there. However, you judge a situation or person will become your attitude. So, what I'm understanding there is Philip is saying you make a judgment about a situation or a person, and then that judgment is what creates the attitude. So Philip says, we repeat, there is no judgment in your spirit self. Your judgments, which determine your attitude, which makes up your life, comes from your human self and the experiences you choose to have. I'm going to repeat that because I think that's pretty important. There is no judgment in your spirit self. Your judgments, which determine your attitude, which makes up your life, comes from your human self and the experiences you choose to have. You can choose at any time to exchange your human emotions created by judgments for the spiritual love that is the truth of who you are. The question arises as to how do you create your circumstances? You do so by the emotions behind the thought. This is not to say you are not to experience all life, that which you judge painful or hard, and that which you judge joyful. That is precisely why you chose to come into life, to experience and grow the story of spirit. You understand good in relationship to bad, up in relationship to down, the sun in relationship to shadow, hard in relationship to easy. It is the balance you must seek to have the fullness of the experience. You must dip into hardness to understand easy, pain to understand the peace of compassion, impatience to understand patience. Once you have the full experiences, you are then able to choose to live more from the spirit self, bringing that peace and joy into human life. So, to paraphrase or to take this down into outline form in a few words, what Philip is saying is we choose our lives. And those of you who have read my book, The Found Child, you get a whole experience of that goes, it's a whole story about how to do that. So we choose our lives while still in spirit world. We come into this life and our judgments help us know sun or shadow. And we have to have the hardship in order to really know the joy of ease. There's no judgment we're making the judgments in our human life. There's no judgment in spirit world. So once we have multiple experiences that we're able to understand and have compassion, for example, because we've experienced pain, then Philip says, once you have the full experiences, You are then able to choose to live more from the spirit self, bringing that peace and joy into the human life. So we have to have the experiences, find the balance, and then once we understand and we can live in compassion, we can live in love, we can live in kindness much more readily. We don't have to have as much pain because we already know what it is. All right. Hello, my friend from down under. She says, greetings, Diana and Philip. Love, light, and blessings to all. I'm so glad the two of you could join me today. Thank you. Let's get our message for the week, shall we? We just go through here and I looked, and so that kind of, I don't want to look because that kind of influences me. So I'm hearing left, but then I also heard right. So left is slightly stronger. If you heard left, our intuition's just in sync, and that's the message for everyone. If you heard right, that's a message you need to pay attention to. So on the left, it says, how can there be a beginning without there first being an ending? How can there be a beginning without there first being an ending? Well, isn't that what we're talking about here? How can there be an up without a down? We have to know the shadow so we can really appreciate the sun. How can there be a beginning without there first being an ending? You know, when I was writing this out, I was thinking, death is painful. When we lose someone that we love, whether a two-legged human or a beloved pet, that's painful. That brings on sorrow and it hurts. And I thought about that and I thought, but you know what? The reason there's pain for that is because we loved. So what is the opposite of pain? Is we had these years together to love. And I don't think any of us would give those years up with those we love. So the pain comes from loss. And in spirit world, there is no loss. You heard right. I love it. Life is constantly talking to you. All you have to do is listen. Life is constantly talking to you. All you have to do is listen. And for all of us, how can there be a beginning without there first being an ending? I thank you for the question, and I hope this was able to answer them. I thank you for the love that you send to us, and I thank you for the love that you receive from us. We can together make our world more loving, more peaceful, and more fun. Laughter is important. So, my friends, thank you for being with me today. And for those of you who are unable to make it live, I thank you for your thumbs up. Enjoy until we meet again. See you next week, if not before. Oh, I don't want to forget, you are still being challenged. And I get more on Facebook because it's easier to write than to make a video for me. But you are still being challenged with moments of joy. I will try to get more out moments of joy on YouTube. In the meantime, if we are Facebook friends, go ahead and check out my moments of joy. I also put them on Twitter, but that's a little bit harder because Twitter is so limited in the characters you can put out. So I will try to get more out today. But in the meantime, every day, find at least one moment of joy for your life. Thank you.